For almost a century, there's been this one book that promises the keys to social success. I'm talking about Dale Carnegie's 1936 classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a global phenomenon, right? A supposed roadmap to getting along with pretty much everyone and, let's be honest, getting what you want. But behind its incredible legacy, there's a really fierce debate. So let's dive in and figure out if this classic is a guide to genuine connection or just a handbook for manipulation.
Okay, let's just start with this chilling comment from a Reddit user because it cuts right to the heart of the whole controversy. A mask for a psychopath. Wow. I mean, it's a stark reminder that the very same techniques for building rapport can, well, also be used for something much, much darker. It really shows you just how high the stakes are when we start talking about the power of influence.
And man, what a legacy it has. This book has been a fixture on bookshelves for generations. I mean, from massive figures like Warren Buffett to just everyday folks, millions have turned to its pages hoping to master the art of dealing with people. It's really more than just a book at this point. It's a cultural icon.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. In our world of social media, DMs, and let's face it, a healthy dose of cynicism, can principles from the 1930s really help you? Or are they just going to make you sound like some kind of time-traveling salesman?
To even begin to answer that, we have to go back to the source. So let's break down the core principles Carnegie actually laid out. These are the very ideas that have sparked decades of both immense praise and some really sharp criticism.
So, at its heart, Carnegie's philosophy starts right here. First, just stop criticizing. He argued it's basically useless because it just puts people on the defensive. Second, give genuine appreciation. And he means not cheap flattery. And third, always try to frame what you want in terms of what the other person wants. It's a whole strategy built on positive reinforcement.
Okay, and the next layer of advice kind of builds on that foundation. A lot of this stuff sounds like common sense, doesn't it? Be interested in others, smile, listen more than you talk, use their name. Carnegie's big idea was that charisma isn't some magical gift you're born with, but a skill you can actually learn. And notice he stresses that key word again, sincerely. As we're about to see, that part is absolutely crucial.
So does this stuff actually work in the real world? Well, for millions of readers, the answer has been a huge yes. Let's take a look at how these principles have played out, creating some really powerful, positive changes for people who actually put them into practice.
For some people, this book provides a social blueprint they just never had. Like this Reddit user on the autism spectrum who explains that for them, Carnegie's advice wasn't obvious at all. It was a life-changing revelation that helped them finally understand and, connect with other people.
And here we see one of those core principles in action. This user directly credits remembering names, that simple trick from the book, with their professional success. See, it's not about manipulation. It's about making people feel seen and respected. Such a small act, but it can have a huge impact. This story might be the most powerful one of all. It's about a man who built his entire career and life on Carnegie's principles. And the proof of his success? It wasn't in his bank account. It was in the legacy he left behind. A whole community of people whose lives he had genuinely made better.
But of course, that is only half the story. For every person who sees these techniques as a path to real connection, there's another who sees them as a toolkit for insincere, kind of cringy, or even dangerous manipulation.
And here's the perfect counterpoint. The exact same technique, using someone's name, can trigger a massive manipulation alarm. So one person feels acknowledged and seen, but another one feels like they're being targeted by a used car salesman from an old black and white movie.
So the crucial point here is all in the execution. There's this super fine line between making someone feel seen and making them feel targeted. On one side, it's a respectful gesture. But on the other, as one user put it, it just feels slimy. The intent and the delivery, well, they change everything.
Oh, and here's a classic example. Carnegie advises starting any criticism with some praise. But in the modern workplace, this technique has become so common that it's earned a pretty cynical nickname, the compliment sandwich, or as this user bluntly puts it, the shit sandwich. The problem is, once people recognize the formula, the praise just feels hollow, and the whole interaction feels totally fake. But then we get to the book's most disturbing connection. According to multiple sources, the infamous cult leader Charles Manson actually took a Carnegie course while he was in prison. And he reportedly used these exact principles to learn how to endear people to him, to build his Manson family, and to manipulate them with terrifying effectiveness. It's a chilling testament to how these tools can be twisted.
So, where does that leave us? Is the book a force for good or for evil? Well, the consensus from people who have studied it, used it, and seen it used seems to be that the book itself is neutral. It's a tool. And, like any tool, its impact depends entirely on the person who's wielding it.
Over and over again, one word comes up as the dividing line: sincerity. Carnegie himself stresses it, and users on both sides of this debate totally agree. Without genuine interest and honest appreciation, these techniques aren't just ineffective, they become transparently manipulative.
This analogy from a user is just brilliant. The book isn't a list of magic phrases that'll instantly make people like you. No, it's a workout plan for your social muscles. Just knowing the exercises is completely useless. You have to put in the real work of practicing empathy and building better habits to see any real results. Ultimately, the goal isn't to fake interest in other people. It's supposed to be a guide on how to become genuinely interested. It's not about putting on a friendly mask, but about building the character and the habits that make you a kinder, more empathetic, and more effective person from the inside out.
And so this leaves us with a really crucial question. If sincerity is the only true barrier separating a respected leader from a dangerous manipulator, how do we learn to spot the difference in our own lives? And maybe even more importantly, how do we make sure that we are always on the right side of that line ourselves?